And right now at 4, we are bracing for severe weather. You are looking at live Doppler 13 radar, the system quickly moving this way, as you can see right there.
Yes, it is a weather impact alert day. The Indianapolis Indians announced they are going to postpone their game tonight because of this severe weather, as we are under a concern. We're under a weather impact alert.
You've been really concerned about this system.
Yeah, I mean, so far the forecast playing out. We had the storms in the morning. We've had a lot of quiet hours. It's been windy, it's been warm, and now we're on radar watch.
Okay.
So let's get the latest. I mentioned the wind. Take a look here. Yeah, that wind advisory is verifying and then some. 55-mile-per-hour gust. Indianapolis had a 60-mile-per-hour gust, non-thunderstorm gust at the airport last hour, and we were telling you we'd be close to 80, and we hit 80 degrees today. Now, there is not a lot going on live Doppler 13 radar. Right now, the atmosphere is capped. We need something to lift it. Think of it as boiling a pot of water, putting a lid on the boiling water, and around the edges we'll get some steam. Well, we need something to puncture this, and that will come in the form of a cold front. But we're going to be watching radar very closely, because the environment that's over us right now, if we were to get just one storm, it would spin quickly, possibly become severe. We cannot rule that out over the next couple of hours. The bigger story is what's happening to the west of us. This is the lift that we need. And just issued includes Evansville something that's called a PDS tornado watch, particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. So long track tornadoes, violent tornadoes within that watch. I expect both of these watches to be expanded east and northeast in the coming hours here. There's still some time if you have outdoor plans, but you'll need to watch radar with us very closely as well. We've got the warmth, we've got the wind, we have the moisture. All that's missing right now to kick things off, again, will be that cold front. The closer it gets to us, the more coverage and storms we'll get. What we're concerned about is if we get any of these isolated supercells in advance of that line, those things could rotate and produce long track tornadoes and very large hail. Even if we don't see those, this line gets in here. After 7 o'clock, should be over the metro area, 8, 9, 10 p.m., and we expect all kinds of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. It's going to be a long evening and a long night. We'll keep you covered. More coming up, 7-day forecast.
All right, we'll see you in just a few minutes, Sean. And we've already got some closings coming in, right?
Yes, we have a handful of closures for church services and any closures that you might be looking for. If it's happening, you can go to our website at WTHR.com to find all that info. And crews across the state are getting ready for this round of severe weather expected tonight, as well as this evening, as well as into tonight and maybe even early morning.
Oh, yeah, the overnight hours as well. Samantha Johnson's in Morgan County today, where people are working all day long to try and lessen the impact of this storm.
All week, crews here in Morgan County have been gassing up work trucks, clearing drains, checking floodgates. Most of the county is a valley, so today we saw several crews doing everything they can to keep that water flowing. We can tell you crews were working hard to clear ditches and remove debris. Morgan County, of course, is no stranger to heavy floods, so I want to let you know there are sandbags available now to help you stay off the road later.
If you are in that floodplain area or you know you have home flooding, please make sure to get sandbags ahead of time and kind of make that barrier as best as you can.
As much as possible, stay out of the roads. Let us have room to do what we need to do. If you see water in the roadway, please don't go through that.
So as tonight's storms roll through, county officials want you to pack a go bag now and be sure you have a safe place to go if the tornado sirens do go off in your area. In the meantime, we've put the information on where you can find sandbags and resources at WTHR.com. In Morgan County, Samantha Johnson, 13 News.
Sam, thank you. We just had some severe weather not that long ago. In fact, we've also learned it was an EF0 tornado that did damage over the weekend near Bloomington.
And that's from the National Weather Service. Sunday's line of storms did significant damage in Bartholomew and Brown counties. Northern Indiana also saw damage and 2 people died. As
we monitor the storms tonight, make sure and tune into 13 Plus. We want to keep you ready with the severe weather threat. You can download WTHR Plus to follow live Doppler 13 radar. We've got streamed in-depth forecasts there, and you can also watch our extended weather coverage. Just download it on your TV and stream it for free.
And we have breaking news. President Trump is expected to unveil his plan for new tariffs.
That's right. These are live pictures from the White House. He is expected to speak at any time. The White House says they are increasing taxes on imported goods coming from all countries into the U.S. But as we have seen before in the last couple of weeks and months, the administration says it's also open to negotiations.
So here's President Trump addressing the podium now, here is President Trump. He is about to address the podium, about to address the press and speak, of course, to the country about about economics and, of course, international policy involving that. So let us just, of course, monitor what's happening right now. Again, these are live pictures from the White House. He's expected to speak on tariffs. He's been calling today, this is a quote, Liberation Day.
And he says that we are likely going to feel some short-term pain for long-term gain by bringing products back to America to be made here, which he says, of course, is good for America. Let's try and listen in if we have the audio feed now from the president at the White House.
Good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sitting right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen. And they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours. And he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized. And Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built. And the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me, they're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, We can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it before almost anybody else. This group over there, they got it too. And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them. But we won Michigan by a lot. And I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon. And you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies.
All right, that is President Trump in the Rose Garden announcing he will sign an executive order on 25% reciprocal tariffs. Says this is about fairness and to, quote, supercharge this country's industrial base. He says this will be good for the U.S. economy in the long term. We have also heard, though, from some who are concerned. We've heard from some economists who say they're concerned about what that will mean in the meantime, which they say would be higher prices for Americans.
25% tariffs is supposed to take place at midnight. We also just heard from a leadership from the United Auto Workers Union there. They spoke out in support of President Trump and his decisions to enact these tariffs. 25% tariffs expected to be enacted at midnight. A
reporter asked the White House press secretary earlier this week, what if this doesn't work? Her response was, it will. Okay. Short and succinct. So we're going to have much more on this developing story throughout the evening here on 13 News and on